Here's an absolutely filthy Xbox 360 controller I found in the trash. So, I'm taking it apart, and you need a torx security bit. It comes, for example, in the iFixit set. You can see the bit here. It has a hole in the middle because it is a security bit. Anyway. You can see me struggling here with depth perception because I'm trying to do this through the viewfinder, so it's absolutely painful to do. Anyway, I'm gonna grab this screw and put it aside so I can wash them because some of the filth stays on them. And also it's just a good place to keep them. Now for the final screw, it's underneath this label. You can peel it off if you actually care about this in case of a 360 controller. Now that all of the screws are out, I am trying to peel the controller apart, and I messed up. I used a little bit too much strength. I pulled it apart at an angle, and I bent the battery terminals a little bit when doing it. This controller is kind of special because it has a single PCB and the rumble motors are actually plugged into it. So here's the PCB. You can see the bent terminals that I messed up. You can see all the filth on it. The PCB is totally working though. The sticks drift a little. Anyway, let me peel off the caps here. So once I set that aside, you have the front left. Here you go. Rubber pads and the buttons. Let me just take all of it apart. The front piece. The top part with the bumpers, you can see all the gunk built up there, especially in the lettering. Then I'm just gonna flip it upside down and dunk out all of the buttons. And the D-pad has screws in it, but I'm not gonna bother because the toothbrush will get in there sufficiently. So look at all of this filth as well. Anyway, now I'm gonna put in baking soda. This is a way to get rid of the stench. This controller absolutely reeks, and this helped out a lot. And now, you can hear me pouring in the water. I put in the dish soap first and I use warm water and I let it soak a little bit because it softens all of the gunk and it makes cleaning much easier. And this is your best tool for cleaning plastics like this, a soft bristle toothbrush. Also, I'm gonna dunk some alcohol to let the screws soak. I'm gonna spray down the PCB and just go to town on it with a toothbrush. And move the sticks around to clean out all the dirt in them. Helps a little bit from my experience, but do it at your own risk. Also, this isn't proper IPA, this is like 20%. It's meant for cleaning cars and not for cleaning electronics. So you can actually do some damage here if you don't know what you're doing. This is risky. Okay, now onto the triggers. Notice how I'm spraying them down first so the alcohol and water can soak into the gunk and soften it a little bit before I get the toothbrush. This is the way you make your life much easier. Also, you can see me absolutely struggle to keep it in view and do it for a viewfinder instead of actually looking at things and having depth perception. This is much easier if you're actually not doing this for a video. I'm also gonna give the rumble motors a little bit of a spray down and a little bit of brushing just so they're clean. Now we're a little bit later. I let all of the plastic part soak, and here's the soft bristle toothbrush again. I'm gonna start trying to brush out all of the dust and gunk from this. Also, you wanna go over the surfaces. I haven't done this sufficiently enough here, but the gunk builds up in all of the like rough surface on plastic as well. These edges are the seam of the controller where all of the gunk builds up. They're absolutely nasty, so you want to be paying attention to them, and also you might want to poke in the toothbrush and start spinning it around, for example here, because it's kind of small, but you still want to get in there because that's a spot where gunk is going to build up. Just a bunch of text around these buttons here, and you want to also be going to town on them to actually get the dirt out. The longer hairs on the soft bristle toothbrush will help you, or the D-pad here. You can just kind of put it in there and start moving it. It's kind of hard to do it while keeping it in view and at an angle like that, but you can get into quite a few places. Or for example here, I'm just rotating because, you know, that's also a place where gunk's gonna build up, inevitably. Another thing worth noticing, once you keep brushing with soapy water over all of these indented letters, it's gonna build up and you're gonna have this white stuff inside, and you can tell if there's dirt in there or not. Just dump it into your, you know, container again, and you can take a look at it a little bit better. Here I am washing it off just so I can see if it's in a good shape. This is the OEM battery cover. You can also get replacements for those for quite cheap if you ever find a controller or get a controller that's missing them. They're cheap and the replacements are fine. They're not as good as the OEM stuff, but they work perfectly fine. Anyway, you can kind of stick your toothbrush quite deep in there and start rotating. This part also has a bunch of letters, and it's probably the best example of me having to go to town to remove all of the gunk from inside of the letters and surrounding the sync button, because it's a part of this and has this circular ridge around it because again it's just a circular button. And that's about to be the last part. And now we look at all of this gunk and dirt that was left in the pot. Not the stuff I washed off with the toothbrush, the stuff that just kind of flowed off as I was letting it soak. Again, filthiest stuff involves it on here. And now just rinsing off the soapy water so the stuff doesn't have all soap and crap from the cleaning on it. Time to let it dry and I'm gonna put it back together. So some of the spots are not gonna dry out perfectly here because of the capillary action and so on, just absolutely messing things up. If you have access to strong compressor and you're gonna blow through a ton of it, like use a compressor or something, you can make quick work of this sort of stuff and help yourself out a ton. But the water inside of there is gonna turn into a fine mist. You're gonna have a breeze going on wherever you're gonna do this, so just be careful. Here are some stick replacements because the ones that were coming with it are absolutely mangled up. These ones are the best ones from the batch of controllers I got from literally a dumpster. But yeah, these were cheap. They're close enough to the OEM stuff. They're really good. You know, unlike GameCube controller ones, because the GameCube controller ones tend to be absolute garbage and you have to be really careful with stick caps. One more thing about sticks and the stick caps. The rubber on them will degrade with time and wear down, so you might have to just straight up replace them. And yeah, you have to align them correctly. Now, when putting back together the rumble motors, you have to pay attention to which one goes where, because similarly to PlayStation controllers from back in the day, they have two different sizes of rumble motors. And here those mangled battery terminals are gonna come to bite me. Looks like they stick out and I'm gonna have to basically take the whole thing back out. Some stuff's gonna just fall off because you kinda use a little bit of force there. Yeah, the PCB is stuck to the inside. And I'm gonna have to bend them back, which is slightly annoying but totally doable. You can see me pressing buttons here. I'm checking if the rubber pads below them are aligned properly, and if the buttons feel good, because it's just a good way to get a feel for them. Now pay attention here. I'm gonna put the screwdriver in and I'm gonna counter rotate and then let the screw drop in and then only start screwing it in. This is very important if you're screwing it into a piece of plastic. Otherwise you're gonna cross-thread it. This is the way to prevent doing damage to it. Here you would probably get away with it. This controller was never opened up by anyone, but if it's an older piece of plastic that's gonna become brittle or if it's really worn down, you really want to be careful with it. And also, when drying things out, check this out. I'm gonna have to get a little bit creative to get all of the water from inside of the battery terminal. By the way, it came out just fine. You want to let your stuff dry out, and then some parts of it, the water will basically never come off. You have to help it out a little bit, but yeah, you can just kind of twirl it into a little bit of a long boy and just get it out there. And then put it back on. Yeah, the drift part here, that will be a separate video. I don't have the footage for that.